Hey, friends, this is a family reunion that transcends time, space, and dimension. Her friends and family knew that her home was haunted, and in fact, so did she. She spent years trying to clear her home to remove the activity that she had been experiencing. And when I talk to somebody and work with somebody, I never know exactly what we're going to find, but I also know that two sessions are never, ever alike. And I want to thank Martha for allowing me to use this part of her session to help other people and to help other people understand how the fourth dimension can work. This segment is just one aspect of the work that we did to clear her home, but it's also very powerful as there are many soul lessons to be learned from her. And what are your impressions?
I had a friend who stayed here once, and she saw in the back bedroom a young black girl on the wall who had long pigtails. And people say when they're in that back room that they feel spirits in that room.
Okay.
And I'm thinking,
We're going to invite them all in.
okay.
And we've got the connection with that back room, and we're just going to basically open up a doorway for them to see this circle right now. I have a process that I use to clear spaces and people. During this process, I'm always working directly with many forms of light beings whom I always vet. I always test to make sure they're the real deal. I'm also listening on many levels, as there's many layers of protection that have to be implored before we even start this type of work. I want to make sure that I keep my client and myself in a safe space all the time. This process has taken decades to develop, and it's always changing and improving. I'm always looking for patterns and new elements that develop, because everything evolves, and we need to remember that nothing is ever truly stagnant. The dark side relies on us to follow the same patterns, to never grow or evolve. They depend on that. So remember, as you are embarking on your spiritual path, you always need to learn and grow. We can never be stagnant. We can hit a plateau where we get to study and learn, but should never, ever remain stagnant. Yeah. It's warm, it's safe, nothing will harm you here. And we're just going to connect to that era of the slave trade. And there's plenty for everybody. All right. And do you see that little girl or sense that she's in the circle?
What I saw was like a light. It was like a dull light. It was trying to get brighter, but then it went out again.
All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to create a magnetic pull around this golden ring.
Okay.
And the reason why this is a gold ring is gold is high vibration. So
yes.
It's going to help them heal their souls before we cross them over.
Okay.
And the food that's there it's for the human mind construct, right? It's not necessarily real food, but it's prana or chi.
Got it.
So that's why we do this. And yes. All right.
I found it interesting that you would come up with cupcakes and teddy bears, like things that a young child would want.
I'm feeling child energy, a lot of child energy. And I'm asking my guides too, what else needs to go in there. And that was what was brought it up. And so with children, a couple of things. One, when they die, they tend to look for an adult in charge that may not be there. But also, if you've been severely abused, you're not going to trust.
Right.
And we're going to start bringing in the angelic realms.
Okay.
They're coming in military formation, rank and file, so we can see and sense them better. We're going to pour salt on them, making sure they're the real deal. We're going to pour frankincense and myrrh on them as well. Myrrh turbocharges the power of frankincense, by the way.
Oh, good to know that.
Yeah. And so, the Christ child was gifted frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And, people are like, well, no one ever says, well, why was he given tree sap? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. When you explained that, I instead of having sage, I said, oh, frankincense.
It's much more powerful. Sometimes it can be difficult to cross over ghost soul entities. There's many reasons for this. Sometimes the ghost energy is so weak that they need help to cross over. Or maybe there's so much guilt that they don't feel worthy. Or maybe they're as stubborn as life as they are in death. The list can go on, but you get the idea. The bottom line is, however, when we leave our physical bodies, the soul energy needs to return home to the higher realms and never linger in the fourth dimension. We're having the teams. I want them to start. It's almost like there's a portal in that room in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to shift that portal in so that it flows into the circle.
Okay.
And they're going to start coming out. I don't know who's coming, but we're just going to start clearing it. Do you get a sense that the little girl is in this circle?
Yeah, I don't see her.
All right, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a sense that she's here.
Yeah.
I feel like she's dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sensing that she has on it's like an old fashioned dress, obviously, but I'm getting the impression that it's like a like bluish color, but I could be completely wrong. I don't know. We're going to ask her to come into the circle. She's been very brave, and we want to give her anything that she may need.
Okay.
And just let me know when you see or sense her there.
I do now.
I do too. Yeah, she came right away.
I do. Yeah.
All right, let's start with I'm kind of curious about her. If you are, we can ask her some questions.
Yeah.
All right. When we work on crossing over the dead, the first element that needs to happen is to help them raise their frequency, because this is a part of the soul healing process. I work on creating an environment where we can do this together. The ghosts reside in the fourth dimension, which is also known as the lower astral or hells. This is the space that is literally between heaven and earth. This dimension is also where the dark entities reside. And trust me, they can and do use and abuse the dead. These dark entities are parasitic in nature, meaning that they need us and we don't need them. They can and do capture the human soul. And we need to really understand the ramifications of this. For millennia, the dark side has put this knowledge into our head based on certain false belief structures, such as they weren't ready to go, or maybe they had unfinished business, or they are such an awful person, they deserve to rot in hell. The reality is that once we leave our physical bodies, our karmic time here is done, and we need to go home to the higher realms when our incarnation is over. This helps our soul to grow and evolve. Any psychic who tells you that they had unfinished business or some other reason why a ghost soul doesn't cross over is actually giving you the wrong information. Spiritual law says that we need to go back home when we leave these physical bodies. If we're lingering in the fourth dimension, the lower astral, we can actually incur negative karma depending on our reasonings for it. If we're doing it to be basically a jerk, that's one thing. If we're doing it because we're lost or stuck, we need help. Every soul, no matter how evil, no matter how wonderful, needs to cross over and be put back into the God source light. Is she feeling warmer? And just let me know what you hear.
I hear a very weak, yes, very weak.
Yeah. Does she see the angel standing by her?
As she looked up,
Yeah.
I saw her face.
Would she like to hold their hands? These are for her.
Yes.
All she has to do is just, they're stepping into the circle to be with her.
Okay.
They're lowering their frequency levels because that would be too much for her at the moment.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's in shock, disbelief to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now does she feel warmer?
Yes. I don't get an answer.
Okay, and that's fair. All right, is there anything she needs?
A teddy bear.
Oh, let's bring her one. All right.
So bizarre. I mean,
Yeah. All right.
strange. It's the first thing that
Came to her. Yeah. So I want her to look at the pile of teddy bears and she can pick one and the angel's going to bring it to her.
Okay.
She never figured out she died. When someone dies and they miss that memo, the chances of them figuring out what to do upon death greatly diminishes. When somebody is suddenly ejected out of their body, they don't know what happened. They're surprised, they're stunned, but yet they keep existing. They're looking for help. They're talking to their loved ones and their loved ones don't hear them. Or maybe they are signaling for some kind of help or answer. But the bottom line is that ghost state is a very cold and lonely space to be. We need to help them cross over. Has she been in the house for a long time? And she's not, I'm telling her right now, she's not in any kind of trouble. We're just here to help her.
Yes.
Do you know if she came with the house when you purchased it or when you moved in?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know I've had spirits following me from when I lived in California to here to, and their energy, oddly enough, would come through a blender, like in the middle of the night, the blender would just go off.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. They utilize electricity. It's an easy form of energy for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that hasn't happened in a long time. I've heard conversations in this house.
Okay.
I mean, like sentences, not conversations.
Okay. A kind of electronic sounding.
Yeah, like I heard a female voice in my hallway saying, "Can you believe what you're seeing?" And I looked up at my grandchild and I said, "Did you hear that?" She said, "No."
Okay.
And anyway, so that's,
yeah. Yeah, that's
it's a female voice, but it was a woman. It sounded like a woman, not a child.
yeah. So okay, we're gonna make sure that these are all humans also.
Yeah.
And that to me sounds like she's human, but we want to make sure. Okay. All right.
I agree.
Yeah. And let's just ask this little girl, does she know what her name is?
Cynthia? That's weird.
I'm getting yes, I'm getting the same thing. I'm like, I'm literally in my head going, sin, yeah.
Oh.
Cynthia. While we're here to help Cynthia, we found a lot more dead, including animals. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of dead who now found us. And it's getting a bit complex, and I have to be extremely logical and methodical and non-emotional, non-reactive during this process. To become inundated with thousands of dead also means there's a huge probability that there are many nefarious beings attached to them, and they can now see us. While our attention is focused on the Civil War dead, I have a subroutine, as I like to call it, to start removing the dark entities, which these things can range from their standard black magicians, the skinny, bony guys with the scraggly hair, to voodoo practitioners, all the way up to the grays and reptilians and anything in between. Again, safety is key. Our power is that we are in physical bodies. Their power is that we may not know that that energetic source is there, but when we do, we can get the upper hand so readily and so easily. Does she know that she's died?
No.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. We're letting her know that she did die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting Civil War era for her. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This area where I am, like Sherman marched his troops right down the main road, where I'm living.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
oh yeah, this whole area, Slade, Savannah is big time.
All right. Let's
spirits, big time.
And it doesn't matter what side of the fence they're on, they need to come into the circle.
Yeah.
Civil War dead, a lot of times these people who die in a war miss the memo they died and they just drop dead and they keep on fighting.
Yeah. Oh.
Pretty pathetic do loop. I keep telling them, there's got to be a better system, seriously.
No. I understand we're headed toward one.
I know, right? But still, this is like ridiculous, but it is what it is. Yeah. Soldiers, horses, we're going to put in some hay and grain.
Yeah.
Women, children, it doesn't matter. And once I'm going to start having the angelic realms go into the circle to start sorting them out. We don't want the Civil War dead to keep fighting inside there. Little Cynthia is still confused. She's not sure what's going on, and I'm trying to get more information from her to help learn about her situation. I suspect she may have died in her sleep and she slipped out of her body, not knowing what to do. Oftentimes, when children die, they're looking for an adult in charge to help them to figure out what's going on. But when the adult isn't present, they really simply don't know what to do. If you suspect a child has died and you'd like to help them, you can go to my book, Soul Tribe, Navigating the Spiritual War. There's a crossing over prayer in there to help you help them. It's a true spiritual service. But I want to go back to Cynthia. All right. I'm asking her, do you remember what happened to you?
I don't get an answer. It's not a clear. It's like confusion.
Yeah, I am too. About how old does she feel to you?
About 6.
Okay. 6. I was going to say 6, 7. Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked you the questions because I don't want to lead the witness. I don't want to, does she feel like she's 6 or 7 years old? I don't want to, so.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. And if I, you said 6 or 7 and I'm thinking teenager, we'd work through it. But I'm getting 6, 7 and all right, I'm just kind of tuning into her. I'm asking her, was there a fire?
I see flames.
Yeah. I think she died in a fire. She died before the fire hit her, so she died of smoke inhalation. So let's ask her, does that sound right? Was it really smoky?
I get yes.
I got a huge yes on that one. Did she have a mama? That was a question I asked. This darling little girl has been roaming around the underworld, lost and confused for a long time. We all need to realize the importance of angels that are among us. Angels are a huge underutilized resource that all of humanity has access to. We just need to learn to ask for their help. They cannot help us unless we ask them because they are not allowed to break spiritual law. They cannot mitigate our free will, unlike the dark side, who seems to have a monopoly on that situation. At the same time, my team is starting to give me clues as to her demise, and I'm picking up on some information, but even though I'm getting information from my team, I want to validate that information is accurate because I know no one human is ever 100% accurate. So working in this process with you, with the client, helps to find out what the real truths are, not simply what I think they could be. Did she have a mama?
Yeah, she looks sad when I
Okay.
see sadness, ill sadness.
I'm feeling it too. Is she worried about her mama?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to be asking these angels to locate her mom. I think her mom probably died in the fire too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm seeing what happened. Um, did you ever do any muscle testing or anything like that?
I do know what it is, but I haven't.
All right. So I'm just going to make some statements and give me your gut response, okay?
Okay. Okay.
All right. Cynthia's mom was attacked in the middle of the night.
Yes.
In that attack, there was like a lantern that fell over that caused the fire.
Yes.
The attacker was the slave owner.
It's confused. I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think I got a no on that one. The attacker was another slave.
I hear yes.
Yeah. Okay. The reason why the mom and daughter never connected in death is because they died in a different moment in time. This is called stacks of time. Think of rings on a tree. This mom and daughter each died in a different ring on that tree, so to speak, and they simply couldn't find each other. Understanding that time is not linear and it can be segmented, and also the fact that there's no time in these other dimensions. It also explains why those who can see and sense ghosts, we know what period or what era they are from based upon the clothing they're wearing. Ghosts will always present themselves in the same clothing that they died in. I remember once being at a doctor's office with one of my children, and there was this 8-year-old ghost boy that came in, and he had on a hospital gown and he had tubes in his arms. And I thought, this is so weird. What is going on? He had died of cancer and he didn't know what to do. And he had died with those tubes in his arms that were giving him the cancer medicines, or what, maybe it was morphine. I don't know what it was. He died with those tubes in his arms. So he's wandering around looking for help, looking for his mom and dad in death at this little medical clinic. I totally understand. This is actually clearing your property also.
Okay.
This is just a very poignant story we get to participate in.
Okay. Yes.
And all right, the mom, does she need anything? They're just holding on to each other like
Yeah.
they've been separated for 200 years.
Seriously, I hear my daughter when you said,
yeah,
I need my daughter. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So I think they died at different moments in time. And what can happen is the soul is stuck in the moment in time in which they died. So think about rings on a tree. Those are stacks of time.
Yes.
So they died in these different moments. So they're in a different stack of time. They could be in the stack of time that's butting each other.
Yes.
But they miss each other.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And we're just going to send out this message to anyone who's cold, lost, or hungry. You need to come in right now. This includes any animals. You need to come in right now. All right. They're just kind of pouring in. We're just going to make the circle larger and we're going to push it back a little bit so we can get some other work done. All right. Do you have any questions for Cynthia or her mom?
I just, are you happy now? Are you content? Are you okay to cross over?
Oh, yeah. They haven't been this good in a long time.
Yeah. It's almost like what I feel is just such shock. it's
Yeah, I do know. And we're going to cross them over.
okay.
And this team of angels of transition are going to take Cynthia and her mom to the appropriate realm of the heavens right now.
Oh gosh, that's so wonderful.
Pretty quick, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I just saw them just floating up.
Isn't that cool? I know.
It is. It really, really is. I just saw them floating.
That's just really cool. We're going to have the team start crossing over those souls in the big circle. And they'll cross them over as their frequency raises and they can handle the energetic shift better. The ability to witness a soul or souls crossing over with the angels is a very memorable experience. We need to understand and really, truly bring into our soul that love never dies, regardless of dimension. And I want to give a sincere thank you to Martha again for allowing me to share this with you.